before the world begins to pull you into its rhythm, before your phone lights up, before the messages start piling in, before your calendar reminds you that the day has officially begun. There's a quiet moment, a sacred, gentle moment, one that might seem small, but holds incredible power. Have you ever noticed that the very first moment when you open your eyes is when you get to choose how you will meet the day? Will you carry peace, or will you drag yesterday's worries into today's breath? In Buddhist teaching, the morning isn't just part of your routine, it's a doorway. A doorway back to yourself. Because the very first words you whisper to your heart, they'll guide the direction of your entire day. And if you begin that day with the right words, intentional, mindful grounding words, you'll slowly notice the world inside you becoming clearer, quieter, more whole. So today, let's begin with one of the most important things you can say to yourself each morning. One, nothing outside me can disturb my peace unless I allow it. Peace isn't something you chase after. It's not hiding on a quiet beach in a playlist of calming sounds or in a perfectly organized life. Real peace is something you carry inside no matter where you are. And there's a truth in Buddhism that I hope you'll carry into every single morning. Nothing outside you can disturb your peace unless you allow it. At first, it may sound simple, but if you sit with it, if you breathe with it, let it settle into your chest, it starts to unlock something deeper. Because let's be honest, most of the time, we don't live with awareness. We live on autopilot. We react. A careless comment can ruin your whole day. A text with no emoji can make you question someone's love for you. A glance, a post, a misunderstanding. Suddenly, you're not enough. Not attractive enough. Not successful enough. Have you ever stopped to notice just how often we hand over control of our emotions to the outside world's schedules? People who don't understand you. Unexpected situations. Parenting stress. Finances. Health. And of course, the past you haven't quite made peace with. But here's the thing. All of that is just circumstance. Those are events. Emotions only arise when you respond to them. And in that moment of response, you have a choice. You can meet the moment with peace, or you can meet it with frustration, anxiety, resentment. That choice, that single choice, is where your power lives. This isn't an invitation to become passive or to ignore injustice. It's a reminder that your mind, if grounded and strong, can stay still even when the waters around you rise. You might be thinking, how can I stay peaceful when there's so much chaos around me? Or how can I not be affected when the people I love hurt me with their words? And I get it. I truly do. That pain is real. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. But even within that pain, you still have one moment, one breath, one pause. To choose, how do I want to carry this? You can breathe, you can sit still, and you can say to yourself, this is happening around me, but it doesn't have to happen within me. You see, people can yell at you, but they can't force you to get angry. They can reject you, but they can't take away your self-worth. Only when you hand over the key to your peace can someone else walk in and disturb it, and you don't have to give them that key. In Buddhism, we call this inner refuge. You can be standing in the middle of a noisy, chaotic world yet your mind can remain like a still lake at dawn, calm, clear, unshaken. But that kind of peace isn't accidental. It's a practice you return to each morning by saying, "Today, I will not let the outside world direct the state of my inner world. I won't give anyone or anything the authority over how I feel." Now imagine what your day would look like if you truly lived that way. Even if traffic's terrible, even if someone's rude, even if things don't go your way, those moments won't define you because you're the one choosing how you show up. And here's the beautiful part. When you live that way, people begin to feel something different around you. They feel your calm, your steadiness. And the way they treat you begins to change, not because you demanded it, but because the world naturally mirrors how you show up in it. You don't need to climb a mountain to practice this kind of presence. You practice it right here, in the middle of your workday, while washing dishes, while someone cuts you off in traffic, when you want to yell, but instead you breathe, when you feel wronged, but still choose compassion. That is the true path of practice in everyday life. So if there's one thing you carry with you into tomorrow, let it be this: no one and nothing can take away the peace within me unless I hand it over. And remember, you don't have to get this perfect. You don't have to be a master of stillness by next week. You just have to practice a little every day, like lighting a small lantern each morning. Eventually, that light begins to spread. It softens your life. It touches others. And it guides you quietly, powerfully back home to yourself. 2. Every breath is a chance to begin again. Some mornings, you wake up with a feeling you can't quite explain. Nothing terrible has happened, but nothing feels particularly right either. It's like a dull gray cloud has settled over your mind. Maybe you said something you regret the night before. Maybe you missed a goal you set for yourself. And now it feels like you're carrying the weight of yesterday into a brand new day, like waking up already tired, already disappointed. But here's something simple and powerful to remember. Every breath is a chance to begin again. You don't have to wait for a new month or a new week or even a new day. You just need one breath. Inhale, and you return to the present. Exhale, and you let go of what no longer serves you. In Buddhist wisdom, the breath is not just a sign of life. It's a way home. It's a moment of return when you're no longer caught in what went wrong yesterday or what still hasn't been done today. The breath you once took for granted becomes your quiet doorway back to stillness. And no one else needs to give you permission to walk through it. Life will always offer reasons to stumble. But the real question is, do you give yourself a place to rise again? And the breath is that place. It never asks you, have you figured it all out yet? It doesn't demand perfection, achievement, or control. It simply invites you softly, patiently to come back to this moment, to this body, to this life. Have you ever had this happen? You snapped at your child not out of anger, but exhaustion, and the guilt clings to you for the rest of the day. You try to focus at work, but your chest feels heavy. You return home, but that knot in your stomach hasn't left. You don't have to carry that guilt with you all day long. You can pause, right there at your desk, in the car, on a walk. Close your eyes place a hand over your heart and breathe. I'm not perfect, but I'm learning, and I get to begin again with this breath. No one else needs to hear that but you, because the person who most needs your forgiveness is also you. Not through logic, not through force, but through presence. Because some things aren't healed by words. They're healed by returning, by remembering that you're still here, and that's enough. Every breath is like a small doorway. You can slam it shut with shame and regret, or you can gently open it again with a quiet nod to yourself. I'm still trying. I'm still here. You're not locked into who you were yesterday. You are allowed to change. And that change doesn't come through pressure or punishment. It comes through repetition, tiny restarts, the kind that begin with a single breath, recognized in mindfulness. So when you feel like you've messed everything up, when you feel lazy, unmotivated, when you question your own worth or wonder if you're falling behind, pause. Not to judge yourself, just to breathe. I'm alive. I'm breathing. And that's enough to begin again. You have the right to forgive yourself as many times as it takes. Not to excuse what happened, but to nurture your ability to keep going. Because life isn't measured by how often you get it right. It's measured by how many times you choose not to give up. And every time you come back to your breath, you prove you're still choosing. You're still showing up. Sometimes, just one person choosing stillness instead of anger can change the entire mood of a room. One person taking a deep breath in the middle of tension can save a conversation from turning into conflict. And one person sitting quietly breathing through the storm inside can remember, I'm still on the path. You don't need to wait until tomorrow to begin again. You don't need a clean slate or a major life change. You just need one breath. The moment you recognize that something shifts, not because you've done anything grand, but because you've refused to let the past define the present. You've chosen awareness over autopilot, and you've started over with the most honest, most human thing you have, your breath. 3. Everything I need is already within me. Have you ever woken up feeling empty? Not exactly sad, not exactly in pain, just a quiet, shapeless hollow in your chest. Maybe it's the sense that you're not quite enough, not successful enough, not loved enough, not strong enough to face what's ahead. And like clockwork, your mind starts building a checklist: a better job, more money, someone to love you more deeply, a healthier body, a better version of who you are. But what if I told you everything you need is already within you? Would you believe it? In Buddhism, we call this inner truth your Buddha nature, a radiant, whole, unbreakable essence that exists inside every single one of us. You don't have to search for it outside. You don't have to borrow it from anyone else. You just have to remember. You just have to come home to it. You are like a lantern, maybe covered in dust from old doubts, past wounds, and all the labels others have placed on you. But the light inside you, it has never gone out. It's simply waiting for you to brush off the dust, to see yourself clearly again, with mindfulness and self-trust. I know some days life will make you question that light. When you lose a job, when someone walks away, when you feel like you're falling behind while everyone else is moving forward. It's easy to believe you're missing something essential, but that sense of lack, it rarely comes from truth. It comes from comparison. You scroll through social media and see other people glowing with joy. You hear someone talk about their success and quietly wonder, am I doing something wrong? And little by little, you hand your self-worth over to the outside world instead of placing it in your own heart. But here's the deeper truth. You already have compassion. You already have resilience. You've fallen before, and you've gotten back up. Not because a book taught you how, but because life did. And every time you inhale and exhale, you reconnect with that inner reservoir. Not flashy, not loud, but real and enough. So how do you believe this when life keeps challenging you? Start small. In the morning, before you reach for your phone, just sit. Place a hand over your heart and tell yourself, I don't need to prove anything today. I just need to live from what's already within me. Then notice, what qualities do you admire in others? Is it their calm, their patience, their kindness? Every single one of those qualities also lives inside you. Maybe they're asleep, covered by fear, stress, or old habits, but they've never left you. And you don't need to become someone else to feel whole. You just need to be honest, even with your broken parts. Because sometimes the places in you that feel weakest are actually where your deepest courage hides. And when you're in the middle of a hard moment, when you think, I don't have what it takes, pause and ask, have I ever made it through something like this before? You'll remember the times you walked through darkness on your own. No one guided you. You found your way with just a little light inside and the belief that you could. That's not arrogance. That's a return to the quiet knowing that you've always been enough. And when you live from that knowing, you stop chasing attention, love, or validation. Because you realize what you give is what you already have. You give patience because it lives in you. You give compassion because you're not running on empty. And suddenly, you're no longer living from lack. You're living from fullness. Still, quiet, whole. Yes, the world will keep changing. Yes, life will pull you in different directions. But if you carry this one truth with you, everything I need is already within me. You'll never be truly lost. You'll begin to see yourself clearly. You'll see that you're already good enough to begin, already strong enough to endure, already bright enough to move forward. Right here, right now, exactly as you are. 4. Today, I choose intention over impulse. There's something strange about how we start our days. Most of us wake up and move into the morning as if we have no say in it, as if the day is already happening to us before we even get a chance to meet it. The alarm rings and your hand reaches out on autopilot. Your phone lights up, and within 5 minutes, your mind is already swept away by notifications, texts, emails. And before the sun has even fully risen, your peace is quietly stolen by a dozen tiny moments you didn't even notice. Then the whole day rolls forward like that. Reaction after reaction. You're pulled by whatever shows up rather than led by what matters to you. But it doesn't have to be that way. Today, you get to choose intention over impulse. That may sound simple, but it's a powerful shift, one that leads to something most people spend their lives searching for: inner freedom. Because if you don't decide the direction of your mind, the world will. And let's be honest, the world is loud, fast, and reactive. It doesn't care about your peace. It only wants you to keep moving faster and faster, but you don't have to match its pace. You can stop. You can breathe. And you can ask yourself, how do I want to live today? Maybe you want to move slower. Maybe you want to be more present with your loved ones. Maybe you just want to stay kind even when the day doesn't go your way. Intention doesn't have to be something grand. It just needs to be conscious. You simply remember, I am not a shadow being dragged by circumstance. I am the one steering the inner compass no matter what the outside world brings. And this plays out in the smallest moments. You're rushing to get somewhere, and someone cuts in line. Your instinct wants to react, to sigh, to glare, to snap. But this morning, you already chose patience. You already chose peace. So instead of reacting, you take a breath and you stay still. Not because you're weak, but because you've already set an intention, and now you're living it. It's like driving through a thick fog. Without a clear direction, you drift. But with a small light, your intention, you stay on course even when the road gets unclear. Living on impulse, just reacting to whatever's next, is the fastest path to burnout. Because you're constantly chasing. From one task to the next, from one emotion to another. No anchor, no center. But when you choose to live with intention, you stop being driven and start driving. You become the witness of your mind, no longer its victim. So ask yourself, what kind of energy do I want to bring into the world today? Is it urgency, tension, and stress, or calm, patience, and steadiness? Because if you don't choose, your mind will default to something else. Usually an old pattern. Usually something reactive, rarely something kind. I often tell my students, take 2 minutes each morning, just 2, sit quietly, and ask yourself one thing. What do I want to hold at the center of my mind today? Maybe it's understanding. Maybe it's grace. Maybe it's something as gentle as I won't let small things steal my peace today. When you carry that quietly in your heart, the whole day shifts. Not because everything around you becomes easier, but because you have something to return to. A still point inside, an inner home. Living with intention doesn't make you immune to struggle, but it gives you direction when the struggle comes. It keeps you from drifting. It helps you respond less and show up more. It transforms everyday moments into something deeper, something worth learning from. Most importantly, it turns your day from something to survive into something meaningful. So, every morning before the world demands your attention, before the noise begins, pause. Choose again. Today, you're not just getting through life. You're choosing how to live it. And that makes all the difference. 5. Let me be the cause of peace today. There's a question you might try asking yourself each morning. Not, what do I need to get done today? Not what are my goals, but something gentler, something deeper. Can I be the cause of peace today instead of the cause of stress? Because whether we realize it or not, every one of us carries a kind of energy into the world. It starts from the moment we wake up, from the tone of voice we use to greet someone, from the way we look at the barista, from how we speak to the child still struggling with their shoelaces, or how we react to the stranger who cut us off on the road. And in those tiny everyday moments, you have a choice. You can be a source of tension or a quiet ripple of calm. Let me be the cause of peace today. It's not a dramatic vow. It's a quiet promise, a small commitment you make to yourself that no matter what this day brings, you'll do your best to keep your center. And if you can, to warm someone else's heart along the way. I know there are days when you don't feel like offering peace to anyone. You're exhausted, overwhelmed. Maybe you don't even feel peaceful inside yourself. But that's exactly when this intention matters most. Because being the cause of peace doesn't mean being cheerful all the time. It doesn't mean pretending everything's fine. It simply means this: you won't pass your unhealed pain onto someone else. You won't unload your irritation on the next person who crosses your path. You'll pause before you speak a sharp word. You'll listen before you react. You'll choose a soft smile. Not because the day is easy, but because you're choosing not to make it harder. Have you ever noticed how just one calm person in a room can change the entire atmosphere? How one kind voice can melt away tension? You can be that person, not because you're better than anyone else, but because you've chosen to be the starting point of peace. And here's the beautiful irony. The more you choose peace for others, the stronger and steadier you begin to feel in yourself. Not because life got easier, but because you're no longer being dragged by every emotion that shows up. You become the observer, the influencer, not just the one being affected. In Buddhism, there's a simple practice called metta-loving kindness. It can be as quiet as walking past someone and silently thinking, "May you be at peace." Just that. One sentence. No one hears it, but your heart does. And sometimes, so does the world around you. You can't control everything that happens today, but you can control how you show up in it. And sometimes, just showing up with stillness is the most powerful thing you can offer. Maybe today, you'll be stuck in a long line at the store. Maybe someone will be short with you. Maybe you'll feel the urge to snap back to argue, to teach them a lesson. But if you remember, let me be the cause of peace, not reaction. Then you'll breathe, take a step back, and do something a little softer, a little wiser. And you'll realize peace isn't something you give to others. It's something you cultivate within yourself. And from there, it naturally flows outward. The more grounded you are in your own calm, the less harsh the world around you seems. Not because it changed, but because you are moving through it differently. And at the end of the day, when you look back, you might not remember how many things you checked off your list, but you will remember the moment you didn't raise your voice. You'll remember the look of gratitude in someone's eyes after a small act of kindness. You'll remember how good it felt not to let anger win. Let me be the cause of peace today. A simple sentence, a quiet intention, but one that can shift the way you live and how you touch the lives around you a little more every single day. 6. I will treat myself with kindness, not judgment. There's a voice you hear all day long, even when no one else is around. It speaks up when you make a mistake. It whispers when you look in the mirror. It grows louder when someone else seems more successful than you. And sometimes, that voice is anything but kind. It judges. It criticizes. It reminds you again and again that you're not good enough, that you should have done better, that you're not allowed to mess up. But let me ask you something honestly. Would you ever speak to your best friend that way? If they made a mistake, if they were exhausted, if they felt disappointed in themselves, would you comfort them? Or would you pile on more pain? Then why do we do that to ourselves every single day? I will treat myself with kindness, not judgment. This isn't just a nice affirmation. It's a radical shift in how you treat the most important person in your life, yourself. A lot of people believe that being hard on themselves is how they grow. That if they're not strict or harsh, they'll become lazy or fall behind. But the truth is the opposite. No one thrives in a space filled with criticism, not even you. Self-judgment doesn't help you become better. It just makes you afraid of trying, afraid of failing, afraid of being seen as imperfect. So you start shrinking away from experiences, growth, even joy. I've met people who spent years measuring themselves against impossible standards, always falling short in their own eyes. They say things like, "I'm not good enough. I shouldn't feel this way. I should have done more." And every sentence begins with, "I'm wrong." But in Buddhism, compassion doesn't begin with others. It starts with how we look at ourselves, with understanding, not blame. You can't love others deeply if you don't know how to be gentle with yourself. You can't forgive others freely if you're still punishing yourself for things you can't go back and fix. You're a human being, not a project to be perfected. You're allowed to mess up. You're allowed to be tired. You're allowed to feel overwhelmed. And none of that makes you any less worthy of love. Now, I'm not saying you should ignore your mistakes, but instead of condemning yourself, what if you just listened? Instead of saying, "What's wrong with me?" try asking, "Am I just exhausted? What am I needing that I haven't voiced? What is this mistake revealing about an old wound I haven't healed?" Every time you mess up, you have two choices. You can tear yourself down, or you can look at the mistake like you'd look at a friend who needs a hug. And how you respond to yourself, that's what shapes the way you live. Maybe this morning you woke up late. Maybe you forgot something important. Maybe you snapped at someone, and instantly that voice kicks in. There you go again. You never get it right. But this time, pause, place your hand gently on your chest, and say, "I'm learning. I'm not perfect, and I don't need to be. I deserve kindness even now." Kindness doesn't make you weak. It gives you room to heal. It gives you the gentleness you may have never received from others. And sometimes, it's the only thing that helps you stand back up when the day has knocked you down. Every morning, you get to choose how you'll begin the day, and not with a mental checklist of your flaws, but with a soft reminder. Today, I will not judge myself. I will stand by me like a true friend. And when you live with that kind of compassion, you begin to see others differently too. Because every one of us is carrying something that no one else can see. And if you know how to offer grace to yourself, you'll know how to offer it to the world. So next time you catch yourself spiraling into self-blame. Stop, breathe, and choose again. Today I will treat myself with kindness, not judgment, because I deserve it. Even when I'm not perfect, especially when I'm not perfect. 7. I release the need to control what's beyond me. Some days, it feels like you're holding the entire world together with your bare hands. Work, health, family, relationships, the future, and even the unnamed worries that quietly build up in the back of your mind. You carry them all. You plan, fix, predict, manage. You try to make everything go just right, and sometimes you don't even realize how exhausted you've become because you're too busy trying to control it all. As if deep down you believe that if you don't hold everything together, it will all fall apart. But here's a truth, simple but deeply freeing if you're willing to embrace it. You don't need to, and you can't control everything. And even more importantly, I release the need to control what's beyond me. Now, that doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean giving up or walking away from responsibility. It just means this: you start recognizing the difference between what's in your hands and what's not. You can't control other people's emotions. You can't control a future that hasn't arrived. You can't control outcomes you've already done your best to shape. You can't control life's unknowns, no matter how tightly you try to hold on. The more you grip what was never meant to be held, the more drained you become. And here's the paradox. When you soften your grip, when you let go, just a little, everything has more room to fall into place. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. But if you open your palm, no pressure, no force, the sand simply rests there, calm and complete. Life is like that. Some things can only stay when you stop trying to control them so tightly. Now I know. Letting go of control is not easy. Most of us were raised to believe that being in control is a sign of strength, that we should always plan ahead, always take charge, always keep everything on track. And yes, there are things you need to plan for. There are actions you must take. But even with all that effort, you still can't guarantee the outcome. You can plant a seed with care, but you can't force it to bloom on your timeline. You can pour love into a relationship, but you can't control how someone else receives it. You can take care of your body and still not prevent every illness. So instead of spending your whole life trying to manage the uncontrollable, what if you shifted your focus inward? Because maybe what you really need is not control, but peace. And peace only shows up when you release the need to hold what isn't yours to carry. When you say, "I'll do my part and let the rest unfold," that's not weakness, that's wisdom. In Buddhism, we call this letting go with awareness, not giving up, but acting with clarity, then surrendering the outcome with grace. No clinging, no forcing, no begging life to go exactly your way. Because it's not the letting go that causes pain. It's the clinging that does. You can start practicing this in small ways. When your friend doesn't reply the way you hoped, when the call doesn't come, when the plan falls apart, pause, take a breath, and whisper to yourself, "I release the need to control what's beyond me." And the moment you do, you'll feel a softness return, not because everything has changed, but because you have. And in that space where fear and control once lived, you'll start to feel a quiet freedom. You'll notice your heart expanding. You'll realize that you're no longer ruled by anxiety or the pressure to get it all right. The truth is, you don't have to know every answer. You don't have to control every outcome. You only need to show up each day with sincerity and trust that the rest will reveal itself in time. That's not surrendering. That's showing up for life fully honestly without trying to micromanage the universe. That's giving up the illusion of control so you can finally live with an open heart. Because in the end, you don't need to carry the weight of the entire world. You just need to carry yourself with gentleness, with faith, with intention. And today, you can choose that. Let go of the need to control. Let peace be what you reach for, and trust that life will meet you where you are. 8. I am here. I am alive. This moment is enough. Some mornings you don't wake up because of your alarm, not because the sunlight poured through the curtains either. You wake up because something feels hollow, a quiet emptiness that doesn't have a name. It's like you're caught in a current, life is moving fast, and you're just being swept along. Your eyes open, and almost instantly, your mind jumps to the past. The things you didn't finish, the words you wish you'd taken back, the little mistakes that still sting more than they should. Or it races ahead to the future. All the worries, the expectations, the shoulds, the what-ifs, and somewhere between what was and what might be, you miss the one thing that actually is, this moment, right here, right now. I am here. I am alive. This moment is enough. You can whisper that to yourself softly, as a gentle good morning to your own heart. No need for it to be poetic. No need for it to sound strong. Just let it be honest. You are here. You are alive. And that alone is already a miracle. Your breath is moving through your lungs. Your heart is beating. You can place your feet on the ground and feel it holding you up. You can hear the birds outside your window, feel the soft light touching your skin, and realize you have another chance to live this day. Not to fix everything, not to prove anything, but simply to be present with life itself. To feel one breath, to take one step, to notice one beautiful moment that usually goes unseen. You don't have to achieve anything extraordinary today to be worthy of life. You don't have to be perfect to feel grateful. You don't need to impress anyone to belong. As long as you're still breathing, you can still love, still learn, still change, still forgive, still begin again. The world we live in makes it easy to forget that. It keeps pushing you forward with the same message. Keep going. You're not enough yet. You need more. And while chasing that more, you lose sight of the enough you already have. You're here. You're alive. You're already enough before you do anything at all. You don't need a perfect moment to feel thankful. This moment, right now, has everything you need to come back to yourself. Not tomorrow, not when everything falls into place, not when people understand you, but now. I know. Sometimes you don't feel ready, not ready to forgive, not ready to let go, not ready to love yourself after everything that's happened. But you don't need to be ready. You just need to show up, honestly, gently, as you are. That's the first step, and maybe the most important one. You can place your hand on your chest right now and quietly remind yourself, I am here. I am alive. This moment is enough. You don't need validation from anyone to know your worth. The life within you is the clearest proof that you're meant to be here, that you deserve to be loved, to be seen, to just be you. And once you learn to pause inside this present moment, you'll start to see that life doesn't need to be perfect to be beautiful, and you don't need to be perfect to be at peace. The past may still echo. The future may remain uncertain. But this moment, this one right here, is always an open door back to your wholeness. So, if your heart feels heavy today, if you feel like you're falling behind, if you're tempted to give up, sit still for a moment, breathe, and gently tell yourself not to run away from it all, but to find your ground again. I am here. I am alive. And this moment is enough for me to begin again. If these words spoke to your heart, if you felt even a tiny bit of peace while listening, I'd love to invite you to keep walking this path with us. Please subscribe to Buddhism Seeds, where we share Buddhist teachings that are soft, deep, and practical. Wisdom you can carry with you through everyday life. If this video brought you peace, give it a like. Share it with someone who needs a gentle reminder, and leave a comment below. I'd truly love to hear what this message meant to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying on the path of coming home to yourself. And I wish you a day filled with enough, even in the simplest things. You are here. You are alive. And that is always enough.